Rob Lloyd, I'm the CIO for the City of San Jose. And the City of San Jose is a community of about 1 million people, about a $3 billion budget, and about 6,600 employees. And the way I describe a city is that we're much of a large conglomerate. We provide engineering services and public works, some utilities, public safety, all the basics of a normal organization in terms of technology, finance, budget, human resources. But the end goal of a city is to make sure your community thrives, and that's both residents and businesses. And at least in the city of San Jose, we're pretty proud of that mission. So the way that the city has evolved its connected city strategy in recent history is that we have to be very strategic about the resources that we use. So we're not a very dense city. We have about 180 square miles, and we have parts of our community that aren't being brought along in the innovation era that we think that should be. So in terms of what we call digital inclusion, we have parts of our community that aren't being reached by private services, that aren't near community centers or libraries, or other investments that we have been able to make. So we are great about partnering. We have a demonstration policy allows us to work and bypass some procurement rules in the short term to prove out some concepts, and then we can learn, develop those partnerships, and then procure and invest and build beyond that. So I'd say the heart of our strategy is that we get to be very partner-oriented. We get to be very strategic about where we're going to go in the community that's going to produce the biggest bang for the buck. And in terms of making sure that our entire community is connected and engaged, we have a model that we call the 3 A's, which is it needs to be accessible, it needs to be affordable, and the adoption needs to be there. And we're really going to invest a lot more time and effort on the adoption piece, which is to make sure that we're connecting with the community and making sure that what we do helps them come into that era. Everything about our approach to a connected community is about engagement. And so we know that in terms of technology and making sure that our IT function is superior, it's going to be absolutely indispensable but insufficient. And we know that engagement and making sure that we're talking with our electeds and that we are having a true conversation with the community means that we're going to be doing different things. It means that it's not just a technical solution. It means that we have to have programs that really talk about generational inclusion and cultural inclusion, language inclusion. We know that we have some investments to make in terms of infrastructure. And what we have is wickedly fast Wi-Fi is our public Wi-Fi network, and how we're going to expand that into attendance areas for our school districts. We have a partnership with Eastside Union High School District because they have kids that aren't being included in the modern economy, and that's a problem, and we know that it really holds them back long term. So we're going to have to address that, and we're going to do those through those partnerships. And heading into 2017, I think the truth is that this is the most fertile ground we've had in wireless and in infrastructure, and that we're going to be able to reach people in superior ways than we ever have before. A lot of it in the past has been technically oriented, a lot of spray technology and pray it sticks. But now we can be a lot more acute and focused on what we're going to do and why, and we understand the importance of adoption, and we have the partnerships that we can lean on with folks like Ruckus, SmartWave, Dell EMC, and others that are going to help us build that case and those connections to our community, and we're going to be really proud of that. We haven't actually got a lot of feedback from our citizens. We get a lot of good feedback from our vendors. We get some good feedback from our electeds in their conversations in their areas, but we know we have holes, and that's really what we hear the most about is some of our residents, because of language barriers or economic barriers, they voice up that they don't feel included and they aren't a part of our civic engine and the decisions that we make. So as much as we numerically can show that we have a successful wireless network, that the public uses it robustly, and that we have some investments to make to continue to expand it into those attendance areas where we know kids are being left behind. We also know we have a lot more work to do. And at least in civic service, a lot of times you don't spend the time celebrating the successes, you just see the next challenge that you have to get to. And we are proud of the work that we've done, and we've had some great vision and execution there. But so much of our community needs us to still reach out to them and make sure we bring them in. That's really where we're going to stay focused. So for a lot of communities, it is a question of whether or not connectivity is a core service or not. Some communities are utterly clear. This is a definitive service that we must provide. Otherwise, our community isn't going to thrive as much as we want it to. So you have the New York cities, San Jose to a degree, San Francisco to a degree, and a lot of small cities and mid-sized cities around the country have made that call. But of the 10,000 plus cities out there, a good number of them still haven't arrived there. When they look at their resources and they see the core services we have to provide, everything from public safety to public works and engineering and even economic development, sometimes connectivity seems too esoteric to really take on. But more and more people are realizing that in this modern economy, if you're not connected, if you're not engaging in the world, you're going to lose opportunities both in employment, in awareness and engagement in the civic process. In education, you're not going to be able to do that work and get your degrees and have more options. So much of the world is oriented around the web that's one of our starting points. And so for us as a community, it is one of those things that we have to put into the balance of every budget process. Is how much can we invest versus those other services? And that's going to be challenge number one. Number two is if you're going to be strategic and you can't blanket everywhere because it's almost cost prohibitive in some communities because of just a few people on the edge and it would take a lot of money to get to them, what are the other options like wireless? What are the strategic decisions you're going to make in that framework you're going to use to say these are the smart deployments, these are the smart investments to get to the maximum number of people, and to give those others other options to be able to come in, maybe not as excellent, but to at least make sure there's a baseline you can keep on growing towards them. And so to answer is, number one is making sure that we always emphasize that connected community is a core part of a thriving community. And number two is how do you have a strategic framework that you can properly prioritize and resource the investments you need to make. So the magic of the wireless Congress is that we have the ability to help each other and connect, and also try to help each other see around the next corners, right? There's a lot of technology movement that's happening in the wireless area. The Connected Community Blueprint is something that I think is forward-looking and allows a lot of communities to be able to see the vision and have a model to follow without having to fall into the same pitfalls that a lot of communities have when you're just on your own exploring, trying to find a good answer. And then the networking here is going to allow you to say, here's a concept, who has done great things, I'm going to talk with them, who are the providers that enable you to do those things, and then also what's coming next. And so wherever you are generationally in your efforts, if you do believe that wireless is a critical technology to connectivity and communication, and you also believe that you need to learn to be able to execute, there are very few forums like the Congress that are going to give you a platform on which you can connect to the right people, the right providers, clarify your vision, and say, how am I in the coming weeks, months, and years going to execute and team up with people to get that done? So I'm very happy that people are in San Jose. It's a beautiful community, and we're always happy to share our culture and our successes, and to support this type of event. We're happy to do so, and we'll do it every time.